of Charis Circle. Charis Circle is the non-profit programming arm of Charis Books, and Charis Books is the South's oldest independent feminist bookstore. We're really excited to be here with all of you to celebrate Kaitlin Curtice's new book, Winter's Gifts. And tonight's theme is an Indigenous celebration of nature. We have loved Kaitlin's work since the very beginning. We were talking about how Kaitlin's first book was kind of coming out right as she was leaving Atlanta. And so we were a little bit ships in the night, but we had the pleasure of meeting her right as that first book was coming out and have really loved every single book. You have really been on fire and have just published many books. Three books and one more forthcoming. Another children's book, Summer's Magic, is coming in 2024. So that's something for folks to look forward to. But Native Identity, Belonging, and Rediscovering God is her first book, which I'm sure many folks, was most folks' introduction to you, but then also Living Resistance, an Indigenous Vision for Seeking Wholeness Every Day, came out March 7th of this year. So you had an insane, amazing 2023, which is awesome. And then this beautiful book, which came out actually on Halloween of this year. So for folks who are just coming to know Kaitlin, Kaitlin is an award-winning author, poet, storyteller, and public speaker. As an enrolled citizen of the Potawatomi Nation, Kaitlin writes on the intersections of spirituality and identity and how that shifts throughout our lives. She also speaks on these topics to diverse audiences who are interested in truth-telling and healing. As an intra-spiritual advocate, Kaitlin participates in conversations on topics such as colonialism and faith communities, and she has spoken at many conferences on the importance of interfaith relationships. Besides her books, Kaitlin has written online for Sojourners, Religion News Service, Apartment Therapy, On Being, Self Magazine, Oprah Daily, and more. Her work has been featured on CBS and in USA Today. She also writes at the Liminality Journal. She now lives in Philadelphia with her family, and that's where she's zooming in from tonight. So we are going to invite you to just be present with us in whatever way you're able. Again, you're welcome to turn on your camera. We are going to ask you to leave your mics off unless you're invited to come off microphone, just so everyone can hear. We will be actively using the chat to communicate with each other, and Kaitlin has some prompts for you. I do want to let you know that this event is being recorded, but we don't want that to hinder anything that you might share, because we really do want you to participate. So if you share something and then you would prefer that it not make it onto the recording that is shared publicly on Charis's YouTube channel, just shoot me a little email or even direct message me while we're in this Zoom room together and say, I would like to have my little part cut out. And that's fine. And that's something I do all the time. We really want this to be as intimate a space as possible. So share as deeply and as well as you feel comfortable. And then we will make adjustments to whatever goes out in public. But without further ado, please put your digital hands together to welcome Kaitlin Curtice.
Thank you, ER. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. I had this just fun vision for celebrating my new children's book mostly with other adults. And I thought it would just be really wonderful. If there are any kiddos here, I hope that you enjoy this. I'm guessing it's a lot of adults. There might be some kiddos. There's a few. Hi, guys. But I really wanted to just have a night where we did some journaling, some guided journaling or discussion if you're with people, to just have some time to reflect, because there's so many themes in my book that are for all of us as humans. There's so many themes on connecting to Mother Earth and caring for our child selves and learning to use our voices, our intuition in our relationships to Mother Earth. And so I just want to celebrate that. And I thought that it would be really lovely. I reached out to Charis and asked about doing a virtual event that could just be really warm and tender and inviting. And so that's what I hope to create with all of you. here tonight. So thank you so much for being here. It's been such a gift to celebrate this book with so many different audiences so far since it's come out. And we are, leading up to winter solstice, which is next week on the 21st. And this whole book is, centered around the winter solstice, but is about the entire season of winter and embracing those gifts. So we're going to start with just sort of opening with a question. And in a few minutes, we will enter some thoughts into the chat. But for now, just kind of sit. If you like to journal, grab your journal. If you like to just sit and think, you're welcome to do that. Again, if you're with other people, talk to one another and just ponder this question. So the question is, what has winter meant to you up to this point in your life? So the season of winter, what has it meant to you? What does it mean to you? Is it difficult? Is it a magical time? A lot of people have different feelings about winter. So what has winter meant for you? And we'll just take like 3 minutes, just sit with this, and then we'll share some in the chat. And I put the question in the chat for those who need it. What has winter meant to you up to this point in your life? We have about 1 more minute. All right. And as you sort of wrap up your thoughts, wrap up your discussion, if you're chatting with someone there with you, I invite you, if you're comfortable, to enter some of those thoughts into the chat, and I'll read some of those out loud. What has winter meant to you up until this point in your life? I've had conversations already with a lot of different people, sharing their difficulties with this season, sharing sort of a sense of dread that's comes, as soon as autumn hits, where they feel this sort of this fear of the impending death, the death and the darkness that comes with this season. And I want to honor that because it can be really hard. And so I've been thinking about that a lot, even for us as adults. There are difficult things about winter time. And I write in my book Living Resistance about these different realms of resistance. And I write about winter. The winter season is this very inward focused season where we have to go deep within ourselves. And that can often mean, grief and some overwhelming feelings. Sometimes it's hard to be faced with ourselves. And I think that that sometimes that's what winter brings. And that can be difficult for a lot of us. Here we go. A time to move into a self-nurturing space with candles, blankets, volunteering to help those who have needs I can support. Yes, thank you. A time for connection with one another, coming in from the cold to the warmth of our roots. Beautiful. Remembering the things and people that sustain us, celebrating family. Yes. A time of contrasts, a time to tap into the playfulness when it snows, and a time to hunker down, a time of connections with family and alone time. From family discussions, snow, light from the darkness, visiting family, Minnesota, dreams, grading. Yeah. Yeah. So those are beautiful, beautiful thoughts, right? As children, there's the, like someone said, episodes of fun, right? There's the magic of snow and these different aspects of breaking the icicles off and eating them and all of those different things that we remember if we lived in a place that was that cold. I love the contrast that you're all sharing of it's a time to be alone, but it's also a time to be with others. So it's a time to be alone and kind of go within ourselves, but it's also a time to celebrate the people around us, to celebrate the warmth of what it means to have friendship and family and that closeness and that intimacy. And that is really beautiful. And the, sort of the hunkering down with blankets and candlelight and fires and hot cocoa is such a beautiful image of that. And I think I wanted to put that in this book. I wrote this book when we lived in Vermont. We were living in Vermont for a year, and that happened to be where I lived. So it was the perfect setting. We literally were, had a snow-packed winter, and I was literally sitting in front of our burning wood stove as I wrote it. And so it was the perfect place, the perfect time to begin this journey of writing children's books, because I've written adult nonfiction, 3 books, and this was my first children's book, and I'm writing on the 4 seasons. So starting with winter and having it be this really special time to really embrace winter in Vermont was perfect. And so I want to go ahead and read you the book. And this is obviously a children's book, but I wrote it for children, but I also wrote it for the child in me, and I wrote it for the children inside of all of us as adults. I got an email a few weeks ago from a woman who is in her 70s who said that she just sat down with a cup of tea and read the book just for herself before she gave it to someone in her family, one of the kids. And that meant so much to me because I cry reading children's books all the time. Like children's books have a beautiful, like subversive way of getting to us as adults. And I think that is such a gift. So I certainly hope that my book will give adults a little bit of that space. So I want to read it to you, and I hope that it speaks to the child in you. I hope it speaks to any of the kiddos here, and that you just get comfortable and settle in for a little story time. And then we will journal some more and put some more thoughts in the chat. And then if we have time, we'll end with some, Q&A and just talking with one another. So Winter's Gifts, an Indigenous celebration of nature. This story is about a girl named Dani. Dani is the Potawatomi word used to describe affection toward a beloved or special daughter. So Dani represents not just the special love we share with our human families, but also our special status as the beloved children of Creator and of Earth, who was made by Creator to be our mother. I hope you enjoy getting to know Dani in these pages. Dani touches a frost-covered branch on the oak tree in her yard. She shivers. Winter, or Bibon, is coming in a few days. Her family will light a fire or skode and think about the darkest night of the year. Many of her friends are afraid of the dark, but not Dani. The dark feels like a hug, and winter is a time for cozy hugs. The dark of winter reminds us to rest. Even the bears rest in winter. Inside, the wood stove glows. Dani cuddles up next to her brother Bo and their dog Sam. She thinks about hugs and good dogs and what it means to wait. The next day, there is more snow on the ground. After school, Dani comes home and makes snowballs to throw at her brother. By dinner time, it's already dark. How long does the darkness last? Dani asks her parents. Her dad answers, the dark will be here for a while. But when the sun's birthday, the winter solstice comes, the days slowly get longer again. That is one of winter's gifts. Dani thinks about the gifts of winter. They are different from the gifts that come during the holidays. Winter's gifts are telling stories and waiting. Another gift of winter is resting like the bears. After we rest for a while, the sun brings back the grass, the flowers, and the leaves on the trees. Dani remembers that Creator made the sun or Jesus to be our grandmother, our grandfather, and the moon or Debut Jesus to be our grandmother. They work together like partners to help us understand Earth and the seasons. Dani knows that Earth is very special. Creator gave her to us to be our mother and provide us the things we need to live. This is my favorite page. I love it so much. On the first day of winter, Dani wakes up excited. At school, Dani and her classmates study the moon's phases. Dani loves Grandmother Moon and is grateful for Creator's gifts of darkness and light. That evening, Dani and her family light candles to honor the beginning of winter, the sun's birthday. They eat lots of food and talk about why they love Mother Earth or Sugamakwe so much. They also talk about their ancestors who celebrated the changing seasons. The next day at school, Dani tells her friends about her winter celebration. They laugh and say that it's strange to celebrate the earth. Dani tells them about the gifts of rest and waiting. They say the earth doesn't give us gifts. Dani walks away confused. At home, Dani sits beneath her favorite oak tree where she built a fort. She talks to the trees and touches the snow. She thanks them for their gifts and hopes that one day her friends will understand. That night, Dani tells her parents how sad she is that her friends don't believe in Mother Earth's gifts. Her mom says, sometimes we forget that we are all friends with Earth and every living creature. The winter teaches us to rest, to remember, and to be thankful. Your thankfulness is your gift to Mother Earth, Dani. That night, she dreams she is gathered with her friends in a big circle around a giant tree, linking arms and singing. As they sing, the animals come to join them. They sing to Grandfather Sun until he sets, and they sing as Grandmother Moon dances into the sky. The next morning, Dani thanks Creator for the dream, whispering, Miigwech Mamo Gosnan. She gets dressed and runs outside to her favorite oak tree. Leaves dance in the wind and snow falls off the branches onto her head. Dani laughs. Her friends from school come and ask if she'd like to go sledding with them. Afterward, they come back to Dani's house for hot cocoa. Dani can't decide if she should show them her tree. Will they laugh? Then she remembers what her parents told her. She is proud to be friends with Mother Earth. Would you like to see my favorite tree? She asked them. Her friends follow her outside. How did you build this fort? They ask. This tree is amazing, they say. Dani wonders if she should tell them about her dream. She is nervous, but she remembers what it felt like to sing with all her friends and animals. She takes a deep breath. A few of her friends giggle and say they need to go home, but two of her friends ask to hear the song from the dream. Dani closes her eyes and begins to sing. As she finishes her song, it begins to snow. They all run back inside for another cup of cocoa. Tell us about winter's gifts, Dani's friends say. Dani tells them about waiting for spring, about grandfather sun and grandmother moon, and about rest. Her friends smile. Dani smiles too. That's the end. So on the surface, it's a pretty, straightforward children's book. It's got a sweet character. It's got a dilemma. It's got moments of sweetness, and it's got a lesson learned. But there's also, these other underlying things. There's lessons about colonization. There's lessons about what we learn about Mother Earth and our relationship to her. There's lessons about believing in our own intuition and being brave and sort of standing up to scary things and facing them. About finding that solidarity and care with Mother Earth and with whatever our spiritual beliefs are, and if it's God or the sacred or however we believe that creator, trusting those relationships and letting them give us strength. Celebrating food and the changing of the seasons. We live in a very linear society, and I want these books to help us bring back to the surface the beauty of celebrating the changing of the seasons, which is why I'm writing a whole series on them. And so all of those different themes are in this book, and all of those themes really are things that we carry throughout our whole life. They are timeless, and we're all facing some of these things at different times in our life. And so I hope that it, brings up some of those beautiful parts of childhood, and that it challenges us to find our childlikeness again, challenges us to hold on to our relationship with Mother Earth, or to begin healing it if it feels fractured. So I want to ask us another question and give us a few minutes to sit with this. What can you hold in the coming months for yourself? Or what gifts can you find in winter? So what can you hold in the coming months for yourself? Or what gifts can you find in the winter? So I'm going to give us a few minutes with these questions. All right, and go ahead and wrap that up. Let's turn to the chat and share a little. So, you know, if you have any thoughts on this that you'd like to share that I can read out, some things we can hold in the coming months, some gifts that we're looking for in the coming winter, I would love for you to share it in the chat. You know, as I read in the book, there's these gifts of rest and of waiting and of maybe surrender, of quiet, like we shared earlier, of warmth and being sustained and held, and that idea of comfort and care, right? Sometimes maybe grieving is something that we have to be prepared for in the winter months. And it really is beautiful to think of. I think in so many ways we think of winter as such a dark month, but winter is also the sun coming back again. So it's like it is dark, it is cold, but it's also a preparation time for spring. You know, it's this time where we are preparing again in that resting, which again seems like it doesn't fit together, right? That it's these dual ideas or actions, but it's really beautiful how those things come together. So if anyone wants to share. Hold space for myself to exist however I like. Gifts of abundance of love soaked up and saturated in the gifts of space to bring myself into alignment. Beautiful. Yeah, that's so beautiful. My wise 8-year-old says she is looking forward to the gift of dreams and curling up in bed on long nights. She likes nights better than days because days are so busy. Oh, I love that so much. And there will also be, just as a fun thing, there will be a dream in each of the books that I wrote. Dreaming is so important in our Indigenous cultures, and in many cultures around the world. So there is a dream element in each of these books for each season. And that was really important for me to put that in and have Dani and her brother Bo, who's in the other books, kind of have these really beautiful gifts in a dream in the night when they're sleeping, and to wake up and be so grateful for that. So I love that. I spend a lot of time with people this time of year. I'm an introvert who can be extroverted, but it sucks the life out of me. I understand that. I hold my time to be alone for myself, more of the self-nurturing. I am much happier and it helps me with the sad. Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, I think balancing how much we spend with other people and how much we need for ourselves, and being really honest about that, you know. And for those of us who are the introverts, who are a little more introverted, it can actually be that feeling of coziness, and being alone can feel really wonderful. And then we also have to remember that we need people, so to make that time. Homemade soup, yes, wonderful. It is the season of that. The gift of the changing light, especially the colors of sunrise. Yeah, beautiful. Hold on to living in the present and appreciating every moment. Also remembering no matter how dark it gets, the sun is going to rise again. Yes, yes, thank you. Beautiful. Yeah. Oh, you're all sharing such beautiful imagery. So thank you. I think that goes very well with a picture book, right? That has all these images in it, that winter is not just the dim and the dark, but it's actually really complex, and it holds so much for us, which is so beautiful, because we just, I don't know. I don't know that we always see it that way. And I think that it's a really wonderful thing to see the nuance and the complexity of winter, that it can hold so much for us, and that we can enter into that. I thought it would be fun to share a little bit of ideas for ritual. So I'll share a bit. I mean, we saw, I'll show you the page where they're having their solstice meal. So this is one of my favorite pages as well. And it just shows, you know, their full table, right? So you have the Yule log, which we do at our solstice meals sometimes. And you have, you know, salads and soups. You have a wild rice dish. We always do a wild rice dish with berries around the holidays. So it's just really fun to have. I have a baker. We have a baker in our family, so we put some baked goods in the picture. And so it's just really fun to have a picture, an image of this feast, right? And not everyone does, you don't have to do a full feast on the solstice for it to be special. It can be just your favorite food and you have that and you light a candle. It can be simple, or it can be this huge celebration. Last year I was recording the audiobook for Living Resistance, and I was taking the train into Philly, like downtown Philly, every day the week before Christmas, and I was just shot. And so my partner, one day I came home and he had just filled the whole table with our solstice meal and surprised me. And it was such a gift because I was like, I can't do solstice this year. Like I'm so tired, things are too much. And it was such a gift. And it's just so wonderful. Oh yeah, I'll share about the dog some more. So wonderful to have your people show up for you, like my husband knew how much it meant to all of us, and just made the space for it when I couldn't. And that's such a beautiful thing, is to just be honest about where you're at with solstice. It doesn't need to be beyond what you can do, but let it be meaningful in whatever way it can be. And I think that that's the important part of it. So I'll share a little ritual idea and I'll put it in the chat. Here's the story behind the dog. So Sam is the husky in this book, and Sam is based on our dog, Sam. So we had a husky named Sam. We had him until he was 16, and he actually passed away when we lived in Vermont. So we had him for many years, and I thought that putting him in these books would be just a really sweet way to remember him. So he will be in all of the books. Sam makes an appearance, and he's just this playful, wonderful husky like our Sam was. And it was just really a wonderful way to honor him. So it made me really happy to be able to just keep him as Donnie's like little friend. He's like with her everywhere, just checking in on her, being by her side. And so yeah, he's based on our Sam. Okay, so I shared this recently actually on Instagram, and I've shared many different ideas for ritual. And also, ritual doesn't have to be done just once and then it's over. You could do this once a week. You could do this once a day if you needed it. You could do this once a week throughout all of winter if you needed. So I'm going to put it in the chat. So a cup of tea or hot chocolate or coffee, whatever feels good to you. Light a candle, or if you have a fireplace or a fire pit, do some sort of fire. Take 3 deep breaths. And then you can read Winter's Gifts, or if you have a different solstice story or some sort of reflection that means something to you, a poem. And then take 3 more deep breaths and just sit with what you read. And then spend some time journaling, or if you're with a group of people or with friends or family, just share about the gifts of the coming season and basically what we've done. Just what are you looking forward to? What are your intentions for the coming season? And I think that that's a really beautiful way to honor this time. If you want to do a big meal before all of this, I think that that's also wonderful, to spend time around a table with friends or family, and just see what comes up, see what kind of celebration can happen. So I would love to sort of open things up. You're welcome to share in the chat. We can also unmute if you want to share an idea for a ritual. I would love for us to just share some different things that we do during the holidays or during winter. What are some things that you do to sort of stay centered, to ground yourself in the season? I think we've been sharing bits and pieces of that, but what are some other things that are meaningful to you? Maybe it's something from your culture. Maybe it's something that's been passed down to you. What are some ways we can kind of make space for winter, for this time? What's some ritual that we can practice? So if you have ideas, you can put them in the chat, or you can unmute and talk as well. as you're kind of thinking or typing, I had an Instagram live with my friend Ruthie Lindsay, and she does a lot of work for people with, oh, wonderful. There's an article about winter. Perfect. Thank you. That's great. That would be a wonderful thing to read. Ruthie does a lot of work with our inner child and just loving our inner child. And so for anyone who's, also finding ways to sort of connect with our inner children, it's also, that's a beautiful kind of ritual to do as well. To maybe, she talked about spending time in the early morning hours, she has sort of a tea ceremony that she does, and also just connecting with her child self and listening to them and loving them well. I think that's a beautiful aspect of something we could do in winter, is just reconnecting with our child selves, reminding them that they are loved and that we hear them and know them, and that they are valuable and held dear to us. So that's also something that I thought was really powerful. Would anyone like to share? Lighting candles, listening to winter music. Yeah. There's some really nice solstice stations on Spotify, I have found. Really fun, really beautiful solstice music. If you want like more specific solstice music, it's really beautiful. Winter night walks. Oh, that sounds wonderful. Yeah, winter night walks, bundle up and go on a walk. That sounds lovely. Yeah. Yeah, I think along with the bundling and being inside, there's also we have to remind ourselves of that need to get back outside during the winter, to still go and be in the sunlight for a few minutes, go for a walk in the woods, or just take some time to just sit somewhere or look out a window if you're not able to get outside. Just spending time with nature, with Mother Earth, is so valuable even in wintertime. So as we share, I'll also just open it up if anyone has any questions about writing a children's book or about any parts of it that I wrote about. You're welcome to ask. You can type it in the chat, or you can unmute and ask. But yeah, thank you so much for being here. And I would love to just talk a little bit more about some of these themes and what comes up with winter and these ideas. Digital detox and taking a break from excessive screen time to practice self-reflection. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I think it's a great time to do that. It really is. Yeah, I'm deep in that question right now of how to living as an author in the year 2023. My dependence on social media, specifically Instagram, and how can I reevaluate that relationship, and what does it mean for the coming year or just the coming season, right? Yeah. And I have some other author friends, some of them are just totally hibernating. They're just like, they're just gone for winter, and they are hibernating from social media. And I really love that, yeah, digital detox is very important. And I think winter is a really great time to do that. I'm hoping to figure that out as well. So thank you for sharing that. I think it's so important. So important. I know a lot of people do like even with family or with friends, they'll do like candlelit evenings with no screens sometimes. So like some nights you just light candles and you don't have any screens. You do board games by candlelight, you eat by candlelight, and you just enjoy that together. I think that things like that are really fun and perfect for winter. How do you know that the message you're trying to communicate is being understood by children? That's a great question. Oh yeah, it's tricky. And I've learned a lot so far in children's publishing. You have a very short amount of space in which to make a big impact, or, you know, like to say the thing you need to say. What I have realized, I mean, I have a 10 and 12-year-old, is that kids are so super smart, and they catch so many things that we think they won't catch. And you know, I was at an elementary school last month, and I read the book to some kids, and I was with some, let's see, third and fourth graders, and a little girl, after I read the whole book, she raised her hand and she said, so do you ever get scared when you're sharing about your culture with other people? And I said, yeah, I do. I get really scared sometimes. And I think that that's what a lot of this book is about, is that we do get scared sometimes when we have to share who we are with other people. Will we be loved? Will we be accepted? And, you know, and that wasn't like an overt theme in the book, but she had this realization that, oh, for some people, you know, sharing their culture isn't always accepted in our society. And I wonder if that's hard, even for this adult who's reading me this book. I wonder if that's ever hard for her. And I thought that was really beautiful and just insightful of her to ask such a tender, sweet question. And it made me really realize that, yes, even as an adult, it can be really scary to share about being Potawatomi. It can be scary to share about being who we are, whatever that means, in a society that wants everything to sort of be the same sometimes. And so, yeah, I think that I wanted to write books on the seasons because I was pretty sure that kids would get that, you know, that there is this magic of being a kid before we sort of lose it, or before we're told to become adults, to become bigger and to not be curious anymore. There is this really beautiful sort of magical curiosity that we carry as children, and that is so connected to our relationship to the earth. I mean, I remember when I was little, just like, yeah, walking around my yard, singing Disney songs, like, you know, playing with grasshoppers, talking to trees. It was just so natural. And just like, and then at some point, you know, I kind of was told, or I just felt like I needed to grow up, you know, and some of us sort of go on that journey. Some of us stay kids forever, which is amazing for those people, and we learn a lot from them. But I think that kids can hold a lot. And so, yeah, it's definitely challenging to write children's literature, I'm learning. But if you hold certain themes and give certain kinds of imagery, I think that they really embrace it. And of course, my illustrator, Gloria, for this book just did an incredible job of making things feel really warm and inviting in this winter world. My daughter wonders if your book has a dedication, and if so, to who? And I wonder if you could share about working with Illustrator. Yeah. So my dedication was for all the kids who dream big and sing to trees, and to Sam, who will forever be in our hearts. So for all the kids who dream big and sing to the trees, that was related to, there have been different moments, even with my own kids, where, you know, one of them one time was singing to a tree, and some other kids made fun of them, and we're kind of like, what are you doing? That's silly. Why would you do that? You know, those kinds of moments where, and then you see your kids shut down, or they're in this dilemma, just like Dani has, where they're trying to decide, like, well, I love these trees, so do I want to keep singing to them, or do I need to stop? And those moments are so heartbreaking, right? And so I was thinking about that specific moment when I was writing this book as well. And I wanted to just dedicate it to those kids who keep singing to the trees and keep having this really tender, beautiful relationship to Mother Earth as best they can, because they really teach me so much about what it means to be a good human. So I dedicate it to them, and then to Sam, who is our husky that I shared about earlier. And I wonder if you could share about working with an illustrator. Yeah. That's one of the hardest things for me. I'm not good at drawing. I'm not good at sketching. There's no artistic endeavor in that area for me that is worth anyone's time. So I can write words, I can create stories, I can do all of that. I'll be the poet. But creating the images is really difficult for me. So I wrote it all, and then we had a big meeting, and I had to really like think through page by page. We went page by page of how they had separated out the book, and we had to really just go in and begin kind of forming this world. And so I would describe things, and I'd say, could we put a turtle on this page? Or strawberries are really important in our culture. Could we put strawberries on Dani's bedspread? You know, there would be little things like that. Like, we have things in our home that are in the book, and Sam is in the book. Can we put my dog Sam in the book? That would be sweet. So there are these little things, and my illustrator Gloria was wonderful and did such a good job. You know, I would send them pictures of certain Potawatomi items, you know, that were specific to my culture, so she could see what those were. So it was a lot of fun, you know, researching and sharing different things, and she did a wonderful job. The second book, the summer book that comes out next year, is a different illustrator, and then Gloria will be the next book, and then he will do the next one. So we have two illustrators because it's too much for one person. So they go back and forth, and so you'll see some of the differences in the way they illustrate, but yet it's the same family, and but a different story. So that's really fun. I've really enjoyed it, and I cannot wait for you to see the next book after this one. And I cannot wait until in a few years, one book comes out each year, and then it can be sort of a package set. And I think it's just going to be so fun to see that. I'm one of those parents who, you know, I have seasonal books that I pull out when the seasons change, you know, as I change like my decorating in my house. And so to have, you know, these 4 books that you can pull out, one for each season, I'm so excited. I'm so excited for when that will be a full box set. So thank you for asking. Yeah. My illustrators are wonderful. I think we have time for one more question, if anyone has one, and I love you're putting them in the chat. We're a big seasonal children's book household. We love to rotate. Yes, I have so many books, and my kids are too old for them. They don't read them anymore. I forced them to like sit down with me and read some books the other day. So I still make them sit with me and read these picture books, and they're definitely, you know, a little over it, but it's okay. It doesn't matter. We can read picture books forever. It'll still be wonderful. Yes, they do become art objects. And then you have other little kiddos who come to visit, and friends that come, and you want to have those things for them, you know. So I'm realizing how wonderful that is to have, and how just wonderfully emotional it is for me to see the kiddos in our lives reading my children's book. It's been really such a gift. Such a gift. All right. Well, I don't think, it doesn't look like there's any more questions in the chat. So I think I'll pass it back to ER, and we'll wind up the night. But thank you all so much for having me and holding this space with me. I hope that it gave you just a little bit of an hour to just breathe and think through what winter means to you and what you can hold for the coming season. And thank you for supporting my work and showing up to this on a Tuesday night. It really means a lot. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Kaitlin. This was beautiful and peaceful, and just what I think many of us need. So I want to make sure folks know that they can buy this book from Charis. I just dropped the link in the chat. It would be wonderful if you chose to do that. You can also pre-order already winter's gifts. I mean, pre-order summer's gifts.
Yeah.
If you want to start building your set, which seems summer's magic. That again comes out on May 28th. But if you are somebody who, like me, loves the set, I'm going to drop that in there. It is a great holiday gift to give someone anticipation of a present they're going to get next year. The gift that keeps on giving. So consider that, or do that for yourself. And of course, if you have not read Kaitlin's adult books, those are also available through Charis. So again, Native Identity, Belonging, and Rediscovering God, and Living Resistance, an Indigenous Vision for Seeking Wholeness Every Day are also available through Charis. We would love for folks to stop by. If you're local to Charis, on Saturday, we are having our annual holiday party, which is always as close to the solstice as we can get it. There will be lots of homemade cookies and everything is on sale. And it's our sort of way of saying thank you to our community. With so much difficulty and grief in our world right now, we really are so grateful for all of you. So if you're around, we'd love to see you. It's from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Saturday, the 16th of December. So once again, Kaitlin, thank you so much. We really appreciate all the work that you do in the world and love your beautiful books. So can't wait to celebrate the next one. And I hope until then, everyone stays safe and well, and we will see you around.
Thank you.
Good night, y'all. Thanks.
Bye-bye.